Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available.
Hello and welcome to a special edition. We're going to kind of combine two shows into one here. We're going to do a little bit of Sports Minute talk, and then me and Chris are going to take it on in the second half of the show. We're going to talk women's professional football, which, of course, we are the home of the Oregon Cougars football team. So joining me tonight, I got my man beneath me here, Mr. James Gonzalez. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Having some health scares, but I'll try to work through them at least for tonight to get through this show.
All right. Well, I hope everything is good. Hopefully it's not nothing too serious that you can't overcome, but we're thinking about you, buds. And next to me is backstop. He's C2C's version of Yadier Molina. You can always count on him. And that's the working man, Crispy Bacon. How you doing?
Doing good. A lot of stuff happening in sports, and it's kind of crazy.
Yep. So let's get into a little bit of baseball action. James, how are those Angels looking from your point of view? I know you do Halo in the outfield, so what's your take on the Angels?
Oh, yeah, Halo's in the infield.
It's
all good. I do the pregame show there, whenever I can off of work. I honestly, it's like, hey, we're up and down right now. We're about to defeat the A's to take so far 2 out of 4 games from the A's here. Ohtani's on the mound tomorrow afternoon. Right now, the Angels are what? Excuse me. They're going to be 13-12. They've had a hard time getting all 3 phases of the game together. So offense, defense, pitching. It's been hard, and the schedule only gets harder after this. We have Milwaukee coming up, St. Louis, Texas, and Houston, and then Baltimore in the month of May there. So, man, it's only going to get harder for the Angels. But certain guys are stepping up. Brendan Drury is finally hitting well. Hunter Renfroe has been awesome. The starting pitching, it still needs it needs a lot of change, honestly, and we have a lot of lefties, and that's got to change. Right now, it's a bullpen by committee, and it's kind of shaky. That's the problem. The Angels are in 3rd place, by the way. They're trying to get – Houston is there, and Texas is there. Seattle's kind of having a down year. Robbie Ray will be out the rest of the season. That was the big news coming in. But I'm hoping that the Angels get it together and have a decent road trip, unlike the last one where we were 2-5 in New York and Boston together. That was really tough to tough pill to swallow there. So for right now, the Angels lead by 6-9-3 against Oakland in the top of the 8th, and hoping the bullpen closes it out tonight.
So I know, we kind of talked off and on about the Angels situation with Ohtani and Trout. Are you guys still, in your eyes, do you think the Angels are into where they can keep him, or do you think they both get moved this season?
I think Trout's going to stay until he wants to, honestly. He has that no trade clause, I believe. So with Ohtani, though, the rumor came out, of course, when they were in New York, about, hey, if they're not going to be buyers at the deadline, if they're not going to be competing, he wants to trade out and he's not coming back. So you can take that for what it's worth. But he kind of said something like that in spring training.
Nope.
So it depends on what you believe. But you can say, hey, he's going to be loyal. But how bad is it going to be if he's too loyal? And is he worth giving $500 million to if he's struggling hitting, especially in clutch situations? But the pitching, he's been kind of off lately. He gets the strikeouts, but his walks are up this year. That's kind of alarming. Other from his last start and tomorrow, I'm hoping that he does well. But I think it all depends if the Angels are in place for a wild card. If not, my horrible vision is saying that he becomes a Dodger, Ohtani. I really think that because they cleared space for someone to come in next year. So it's inevitable, maybe 50-50 chance.
Well, you kind of answered my next question because I was going to ask you if they're sitting about 500 where they're at right now, what do you think they're going to do? So you're saying wild card, they're going to be buyers, or I mean, because right now, if everything plays out the way it's been playing out, they'd be 2 back of the division right now. So I mean,
yeah, potentially it's going to get worse and worse if they don't play better. So that's what I'm worried about. And then, what would you get back for him for a trade rental? That's the thing. That's what I would be wondering, if it would be worth it or just it would be easier just to keep him and hope he comes back.
Yeah,
that's tough. That's a lot of pressure on this team to win this year.
Yep,
it's very tough.
Yep. And okay, so let's move on, Chris. Your team's put some money on the table the last couple of years. They're sitting 14-10 right now, so those Rangers are looking pretty good. So,
yeah,
what do you think?
I mean, they're looking pretty good overall. I think we're probably having one of our better starts in a while. Although the last few days hasn't been so helpful. I mean, I think Cincinnati swept us this past week. Now you got the Yankees coming in to town for 4 games. Should be an interesting matchup with Judge coming back to where he hit his historic home run, sadly. But you did sweep against Kansas City, took out the Oakland A's in 2 out of 3 games. I mean, it's been a relatively okay start. Bullpen hasn't been too helpful. We've had a lead and then put some of our guys out there, and they didn't keep the lead.
Yep. Nope. I know you're kind of excited. I think Texas is going to be excited. Hopefully that team can keep out the Houston Astros, who are just a half game behind them right now. For me, if you guys follow me on Facebook, you knew I was at the Twins game today. I was lucky enough to sit in the skybox for the first time, and anybody that gets a chance to do that, I say go do it. The view in Minnesota was great. I don't know about other stadiums, but I know when I got to the skybox level, there was so much history all over the place on that level. So ever get a chance to do it, especially if you're in Minnesota, I will vouch for it. Go take that chance because there's so much history up in, at least in Minnesota. So they took a heartbreaker. Well, it started off to be a crushing game. It was 11-1, and then they started making a little comeback towards the end there. But they didn't do it. Yankees didn't do it with the long ball. They did it with timely hitting, a couple bunts, some stolen bases, hit and runs, errors. I mean, the Twins coughed up a couple errors, throw the balls around. So Maeda doesn't look good. I think he should. The reports are that he's going in for an MRI, has some arm discomfort. So hopefully the best for him. But I think if he does come back after a little stint, maybe put him in the bullpen for spot starts and maybe an inning or two here. The pitch. The bright spot for the Twins today was Miranda. He had 2 home runs. They weren't really, from my vantage point, weren't really hit hard. They were kind of just like soft home runs. I mean, one barely got out. The second one was pretty decent. Gallo had a nice shot today. But the Twins are still pitching pretty decent. Just gotta get those hitting down. So more consistent hitting. So looking at some of the scores, it looks like the Blue Jays shut out the White Sox 8-0. Brewers over the Tigers 6-2. Diamondbacks over the Royals 2-0. Pirates are kind of shockers right now. 8-1 over the Dodgers. The Astros over the Rays 1-0. Phillies over the Mariners 6-5. Nationals over the Mets 4-1. Braves over the Marlins 6-4. And Padres over the Cubs 5-3. And we got 2 games in progress right now. Angels over Athletics 9-3, as James was saying. And the Cardinals Giants over the Cardinals 5-2. So, James, I know we haven't talked much, but surprise team right now that you're seeing. I mean, I would just mention Pittsburgh, but anybody else that kind of surprising you?
Yeah, and it was funny. The question was asked, before the season, way before this, or no, it was in spring trading to me. It was like, hey, who do you think will be a surprise? For some reason, I blurted out Pittsburgh because they have, certain pieces there. Carlos Santana, they brought back McCutchen. They have Brian Reynolds, who they just signed to an extension. David Bednar, their closer, and a couple of good starters. And remember, this is kind of all without O'Neal Cruz for a couple of weeks now. I don't know if he'll be back, but I thought Pittsburgh was going to. And then Arizona, I thought. And they're in first place in their division in the West. I thought Arizona had the speed and they have more talent coming up. So I thought Arizona. Who else did I think? Baltimore, I always thought they could just improve from last year, and they have. They're 16-8. I thought they would be on their way up. That's why I didn't think it would be a shocker. And then I thought the Rangers, I thought they would be better than last year with the young talent they're bringing up and then the pieces they've signed, and they're 14-10. So it looks like it's all blooming for my predictions so far.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's still early. I mean, Chris, what's your thoughts on some surprise teams this early in the season? I mean, we're still, just a month into the baseball season, almost, starting the second month. So, Chris, who's surprising you right now?
I know Rangers are one. Trying to think of others. I haven't really followed the standings too much, but
yeah, okay.
I'm sure there are surprises.
I mean, the Rangers. Yeah, after last year, we kind of thought they. I mean, right now Tampa Bay 20-5. They're 14-2 at home. They finally started losing at home. I mean, I know Tampa's been good, but wow.
That was probably mine because I do remember now.
Yeah,
they went on that,
Baltimore's
12,
right behind
13.
them. Baltimore's behind them at 3.5 games back. Another kind of surprise. I mean, it's kind of flip-flop from where everybody's predicting. You got Boston in the bottom. You got New York fourth. You got Toronto third. Your Rangers, Chris, are right there. Anaheim still in striking distance. Yeah, I'd say. I mean, overall, I think the big surprise. I think James nailed it. Was Pittsburgh and Arizona, both of them leading their divisions.
I think the another surprise, and I didn't see this coming. How bad St. Louis has started off at 9-15.
Yeah,
they're already 7.5 out, and they were supposed to be the divisional winner in so many opinions. Yep. So that's the one surprise badly.
And I haven't seen it yet, but I'm guessing there's some people out there that are possibly going to blame, Molina not being there, not calling the games like he used to. they're gonna throw it somewhere.
That's always tough whenever
Yeah.
you don't have somebody there you've had all those years.
Yep.
But I think first it goes on the manager.
Yep.
And then it trickles down.
Yep.
They sent down Jordan Walker. Remember, he had a hitting streak for
Yep.
as many games as he played, and I guess he's struggled ever since.
Yep.
So, and they have so many pitching problems. It seems like. I wonder if they'll get it together. I know we're only 25 games in, but you would think in that division they'll be able to make it all up.
And I will say that I thought Oakland was going to be a tad better. I thought they were going to go out and play because
Like how much? 5 games better?
I just figured they would have been better because everybody's counting them out. They got a young team. They would play with a kind of a chip on their shoulder. So that's my bad. I know it's still early, could change around. If everybody's been following the shows on deck.
Yeah.
Chris predicted Kansas City and Washington to be in the playoffs in the World Series, and right now they're nowhere close. So
yeah,
you can hope.
I got to watch them, and they can't hit for average as a ball club. They really can't. They're still missing a lot of pieces, and they don't have a good farm system. They're trying to get one better.
Are we talking Oakland or who are we talking?
Yeah,
about?
oh no, Kansas City, and then for
Kansas City.
Oakland.
Okay.
They won 60 last year. I think it gave them one more win than last year. I think I said 61 and 101.
Yeah.
They're on their way.
Right now, they got a run differential of 104. So
the worst ever in history, I believe.
Yeah, and they got 5 wins and
about to be 20 losses.
I really thought they were going to be a much better. I shouldn't say much better team. I thought they'd be more competitive, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Playing with that chip on their shoulder, and yeah, they're making me look like a certain co-host that doesn't know what he's talking about. So, all right. So enough of baseball. Let's get into a little bit of football. The biggest news we all saw yesterday, I think it was, or Monday.
It was Monday, yeah.
The deal was finally official. Rodgers goes to the Jets. They swap first-round picks. The Packers get
The 15th pick, I think.
it's a third this year and a conditional 4th pick, depending on how much he plays. I think he has to play 65% of the snaps for that to be a first-round pick. So, all right. So, James, what's your thoughts on that trade?
Well, for years I was a person thinking like, hey, keep those draft picks, it would be useful. But when you're someone like the Jets and you're going all in like the Rams did, you got to do it. You got to, and I guess we wondered why it took so long to get the compensation right. There was a lot of picks involved. Damn, I didn't imagine there were so many picks involved. What was it? Again, Rodgers, 15 or no, the Jets get him, and then
I was just kind of looking up the draft too.
What was it? The Jets get him, and then the Packers get the 13th round pick, a second pick.
They flip flop.
A sixth round pick, conditional 24th pick, like you mentioned. But the 15th pick goes to the what was it? The Packers here? Yeah.
No, the Jets.
Oh, it goes to the Jets. That's right. Yeah, it goes to the Jets and a 5th round pick. So a lot of picks this year. Usually, you see picks down the road, not in this draft, but this makes the draft kind of interesting for both teams now, because now the Packers have to go out and field a team with that money off the books, his money off the books. Damn, they could get a lot of good players or a lot of different players now, because what was that? Almost $50 million is off the books, so that's a good thing for Green Bay. And then now you have to see what Aaron Rodgers. You have to see what Jordan Love now has. He hasn't had a lot of starts to make it seem like he's a starter, but now the pressure's on him. They have to see about that 5th-year option if they sign him back for that for $20 million.
Mhm.
So that's going to be interesting, and how he does this year. I don't see him doing well, but hopefully he blooms into something good. But for the Jets, though, I love it because it's an all-in deal. You saw what the Dolphins did last year with getting Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
You see what the Patriots maybe can do with whatever they want to do with Mac Jones. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. And then what I hope is this trade has a domino effect with all the other hopeful trades that will happen. You know, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, if that's the case. I'm hoping for some things to bloom up now before the draft or during the draft. That's what I'm hoping for, a domino effect. Please.
Yep, I get it. So just to clarify, James, I think you did have the picks right. Jets get Aaron Rodgers. They swap first-round picks, so they go from 13 to 15. The Jets also receive a 5th-round pick, the 170th overall in the 5th round.
That's it.
The Packers will get the 13th pick. They'll get the 42nd pick in the 2nd round. They'll get a 16th pick or a 6th-round pick at 207. And then, yes, they will get a 24 conditional 2nd-round pick, but could become a 1st if Rodgers plays 65% of the game snaps. So, again, well, that's what I was kind of going to get at. Could we see Rodgers, week 9 or so, be like, oh, I'm not feeling so hot, come down with the mysterious injury so he can stick it to the Packers? Or are we going to get legit Aaron Rodgers going to play out the 17 weeks? So, James, I know you're kind of thinking about that.
No, he's going to play the whole year.
I will say, if Aaron Rodgers goes down with some kind of injury, Packers better investigate really hard, I think. So,
I don't think he's – I know he's petty, but I don't think he's that petty.
Well,
I think
what if you're sitting at 2-5 or 2-7?
Right.
And,
I don't.
As an athlete, I think it would be low for him to do that.
Oh,
yeah. Chris, you've been saying all along that Rodgers is going to be Green Bay. The curse of Chris strikes again. So I know things could happen. I mean, we've seen many trades get reversed, contracts get reversed. Are you finally on the bandwagon that Rodgers is a Jet? Or are you still going to stick with – okay. All right. So what's your thoughts on the trade there?
I mean, I kind of knew, I guess, that it could happen that he was going to be a Jet. But like James said, you have all those draft picks. You have a good quarterback, release an accurate quarterback in Rodgers. You don't know what you have in Love. I mean, you kind of do, but it's only a handful of snaps. I mean, you kind of wanted to hopefully went with the cards that were dealt with Rodgers, and he could take you at least to the playoffs. I'm not sure about, Jordan Love. But now the Jets are contenders. I think they can probably take down their division. I'm not sure about the other teams, but
Jets overtaking Buffalo is going to be tough. That's going to be interesting.
They'll get over the Patriots for sure.
Yeah,
I think they'll probably finish second.
Yeah,
and I know they're not going to get past.
Barring injuries, I think they finish second. Buffalo is still above them. I mean, I know the Jets signed a lot of people, a lot of decent receivers. So let's get into some other trade rumors, dominoes that we're expecting to fall. James already had talked about one. Derrick Henry, strong rumors to Philly. He goes to Philly, man. You might as well just put them in the AFC Championship game or NFC Championship game right now, barring injury. So, James, what do you think of that? I mean, just to Henry. I mean, just Tennessee moving Henry in general. I guess we could talk about.
I think that would guarantee, barring injury, the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl. Seeing how soft the NFC is this year, it seems like all the quarterbacks that were good have gone to the AFC now. Looking at the teams here, only Dallas can maybe make a run. I don't think the Giants can do it 2 years in a row, especially with Barkley. He's not showing up because he got franchise tag, and the pressure is kind of off Jones now. He got paid, so we'll see how he'll do there, if he has to prove anything or not. But man, if the Eagles get Henry, you've seen how good their offensive line is. Man, Henry would be a beast. They already have a great wide receiving corps, a good tight end crew. That would make them instantly NFC champions again. I remember hearing Buffalo, but Buffalo doesn't know how to have running backs and use them. It just seemed like that, so I don't.
That's just Dermot Thomas.
Yeah. So I don't think he would fit well there. But I remember hearing that as the first rumor, and then the Eagles came, and then all these people were reaching out to him about Derrick Henry. So yeah, they would run the NFC in the East if they got Henry. I don't know if it's gonna happen though. I don't know if the Eagles are gonna pull that trigger, but it would be fun if they did.
Chris, I know we're talking Henry possibly to the Eagles, which would hurt your Cowboys more.
Yeah.
But what do you think Henry could land?
Ooh, Buffalo would be a good spot. I don't see Henry going to Philadelphia. I know their owner has expressed feeling of not trading him, but although at first they did say they were trading him, so I'm not quite sure what to believe from that. But if he was going to Philadelphia, it would be hurting the NFC East, the NFC in general.
Yep. No, I totally get that. If Henry goes anywhere, Eagles are probably the favorite. Buffalo would be a strong number 2, I think. Like you said, him staying in Tennessee would be a distant third. Yeah, put him in Philadelphia. I think it's lights out. Now we move into I don't know if we need to bury the Lamar Jackson thing. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think any team's going to be dumb enough to give up 2 first-round picks just to talk about a trade. So that's just the minimum. James, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't think Lamar's going anywhere. So what do you think?
I just think he should hire an agent. Honestly, he should have hired an agent a long time ago. You saw how much Jalen Hurts got paid. I would hire that female agent right away, and her team of his team of female production workers. I would hire that crew right away, and then Jackson would get what he's worth and go to where he's worth. I don't see him going anywhere now. Although that would be kind of awkward, because. For sure, he was going to be gone, and then not, and then and then not. It would be like going back to the team with his tail between his legs and saying, "Well, I have no other option," basically. But I would sign a little short-term contract, and then a prove-it deal, franchise tag deal, I guess, like he's done in the past. I would probably do that, but I think he's going back to the Ravens.
So J. Max Chime said that he saw a mock draft where the Ravens are taking a quarterback.
That's good.
They do have one of their backups.
So Chris, what do you think Lamar? I mean, I know we've talked about Morning Tailgate, we talked about on other shows.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's staying in Baltimore, but I feel like the relationship there is strained because the Ravens.
I think it's kind. I think it's gonna be kind of like a Rodgers thing. If Rodgers would have stayed in Green Bay, I think it just kind of put a strain on things.
Yeah, and the Ravens are like, we want you, but you can test the market, see what we want, and we go from there.
It seems like Harbaugh was the only one that's been on his side this whole time. Remember, he would always ask him, "Hey, do you want to go for it on this 4th down?" And they would, half of the time converge on it or convert on it, but not from the ownership. There's nothing the ownership has done to earn or have Lamar's trust, but it's all from Harbaugh though.
Yeah. Another couple players that I've heard. Maybe it's just because it's the local media, but I've heard some national people talk about the Vikings and Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook being moved. And honestly, I could see both of them. I'll be shocked if they're both Viking by the end of. No, Aaron Rodgers will not play in Minnesota in 2024. Sorry, no, no,
The whole Brett Favre
no.
saga 2.0.
But there's been a lot of rumors. Cousins to San Fran for Love, or not Love, for Lance, and a couple picks, possibly. There's a hot rumor started by some rookie journalist that said that Houston is talking to Minnesota about moving up. Minnesota doesn't have the assets to go to number 2. I'll tell you that right now. They don't. I'll be shocked if they move up. If they trade out of the pick, they'll be down. Cousins, I could see getting moved to San Fran for Lance. Another, I wish I remember the page. There was talk that there was going to be a 3-team deal where Minnesota would end up with Lamar and Trey Lance, Cousins to San Fran, and then a lot of picks going to Baltimore. So I don't know. Dalvin Cook, I can see Dalvin Cook being moved.
So you're trying to make the Cowboy 2.0?
Oh,
trade?
man. I don't know. But I don't know. I can see if Henry goes to Philly, I can see Buffalo calling Minnesota for Dalvin Cook. So, James, what do you think on the two Vikings?
I don't think Kirk Cousins gets moved. I just don't see San Francisco doing that or anyone else. I think Cousins is going to play his contract out with Minnesota. I know every offseason is like, oh, Cousins, he's going to be traded or he won't be brought back, and he does fairly well. I mean, it'd be like a Raiders situation. Are you going to get someone better? But you can't. With Dalvin Cook, though, I'll tell you one team that I'm intrigued by if they get him. It would be the Cincinnati Bengals because they lost P-line to the Broncos. Yeah. So they need a backup running back. And then the status of Joe Mixon is up in the air with all the off-field trouble. So I think if the Bengals have enough to give for Dalvin Cook, they really should do that. With what they have going, passing is awesome. Mm-hmm. And eventually they'll have to pay all those pass catchers and Joe Burrow. But they don't have much of a running game if Mixon isn't there, and P-line is already gone to Denver. So hopefully, if a trade happens, Cook will go to Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, there's another free agent running back out there, Elliott too. Zeke could be looking to go somewhere. So, Chris, thoughts on Cousins and or Cook being moved?
I don't think either one will probably be moved, but maybe
so that means somebody's getting moved because Chris got the.
Well, I was going to say, I don't see either one of them being moved. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Cooks.
Yeah, Cook.
I don't think Cousins is going anywhere. Like James said, he's probably going to ride out his contract. But if they feel like they can get one more year out of him, they'll probably just franchise tag him. But I'm not in the front office, so I don't know.
I hope they don't franchise tag him. I hope not. But San Fran would be the landing spot for Cousins because they've wanted him. And a veteran quarterback like Cousins who can stay healthy with that offense that San Fran has. You're talking Eagles, Niners in the Super Bowl if they get Henry. I mean, but a quick thought here before we let James go. I think it was actually J-Mac. J-Mac's also saying Zeke ends up in Seattle. Yeah, we can see. But
that's true.
James, I want to get your thoughts on this. J-Mac posted in one of our chats, the Packers are now the worst favorite to win the North. So they got the Packers last at plus 380. They got the Bears at 320. They got the Vikings at 300. And they got the Lions, the odds-on favorite to win the North at 155. Do you agree with those odds?
Well, I want to see after the draft, but man, I know the Lions. They should have kept that running back. I'm blanking.
Well, maybe they go get Zeke. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I'm blanking on that name. Jamal. I think it was Jamal Williams. They should have kept him. Yeah. I think losing him and then not having that wide receiver for the first 6 games because he gambled, I think that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
I'm losing all these names because it's the off season, but
No, I
know
know what you're getting at.
Devin Singletary, I know, was signed by the Lions, and I know that's all great, but they also need some secondary help. Remember, they score a lot, but they give up a lot. Minnesota, I got to see after the draft how they're going to do, how they replace Thielen,
Well,
how they get better defensively. Green Bay, it's like I got to see also what happens, and then Chicago, how all those free agents play together. If Fields has enough to compete with the offensive line, I think it's wide open. Honestly, I would kind of give the favor to the Vikings for now.
Okay.
Depending on what the Lions can do without their main guys.
No, I like that. But let's get into the draft here. Let's get in. James is a Raiders fan, so they got number 7. James, what did the Raiders do?
Man, I've heard everybody at this point. I heard him try to move up. I was like, they don't have enough to move up, honestly, to get one of those quarterbacks like Stroud and Bryce Young. And I don't know if Will Levis is going to be there or Anthony Richardson, because you also have the Colts and the Cardinals maybe in the quarterback room trying to get one of those guys. So I think the Raiders are going to go defensively in that draft. Hopefully Will Anderson Jr. falls down to them if Arizona doesn't pick him, because the others in front of them are all quarterback hungry. Yep. And the Raiders, it seems like, they're just going to have Jimmy G and Brian Hoyer. I guess. I don't know. So hopefully they get linebacker Will Anderson Jr. or another great defensive prospect. But there's really no one else that I could see. Again, I don't think they have enough to get a quarterback. They would have to move up right away, but give up something. So I think it all with that 7th pick, I think they get a defensive player, and hopefully one that'll change things around.
Okay. All right, James. Well, we thank you for joining us again. Hopefully, your health issues get better for you, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, on Sports Minute. So
yeah, man. Thank you. Hey, thank you for watching, everybody out there. Check you guys later.
Yeah, no problem. So, all right. So,
yep.
Chris, let's move into typically this is where we talk, or typically the show is in the Den with the Cougars. So let's get into some Cougar talk. They had their first game last Tuesday. Yep, there it is right there. So Chris, your point of view, you and J-Mac were on the call. J-Mac unfortunately is working on getting his trip planned for this Sunday or Saturday's game, but what was your thoughts on the week 1 game?
I thought it was a good week 1 game. Oregon they played their heart out. They've had a few stops along the way. I think they got a lot of penalties. I mean, it's his first game. I understand that. And then they missed a field goal after a touchdown. But they did get a defensive conversion off of a block kick.
Yeah, no, our girl Brittany returned that one. The only touchdown that the Cougars had was Macy threw J-Mac, if you're with me. There he is. There's the man. J-Mac, how you doing, bud?
Oh,
So
going all right.
Yeah, you had the call for the first week for the Cougars. You're the voice of them. Your thoughts on how week 1 went?
The first half actually went really well. I mean, they were in the game. It was 13-6 at halftime. They were right in the game. A couple of unfortunate mistakes in the second half kind of cost them the game. There was a interception return for a touchdown, and then another fumble that was recovered as well. And then there was a big 15-yard personal foul face mask call that kept the drive alive for one of the scoring drives for the for the Fighting Shockwave of Portland. So just some plays in the second half, and talking to Coach Hoffman after the game, he said they were a little shorthanded. They had some players on the injured list going into that game, so they were already kind of shorthanded, and then they had a couple of big injuries during the game.
Yeah.
So that always hurt your team, and then just the mistakes, the not holding on to the ball. But we did have we had the Cougars, and we said who the MVP for the Cougars was, and probably not a big surprise to a lot of people, but Brittany Bianchi was all over the field.
Yes.
I believe if I calculated correct, she had 6 solo tackles, a couple of assisted tackles. She had a sack, and she also had a blocked 2-point conversion that she ran all the way back for 2 points.
That was a long run too for her.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I think officially they said it was an 88-yard run back for a 2-point conversion. So a long run for her there. So she was all over the field, and a great game. And then of course the Shockwave, they really didn't throw the ball well. They had one big play. I know Chris kind of kept all the stats on that, but I think for the whole game, they threw for less than 100 yards. The Shockwave did, but they had one big play. That big 56-yard touchdown that was in the second quarter, I believe.
And
and
the Cougars on their scoring drive had a 30-yard touchdown pass.
It's 46.
46. Okay, and that was a nice ball thrown by Macy
Rennan. Macy Rennan, yeah.
Yeah,
and it was interesting because the Cougars were in the game and they were playing really well. And then unfortunately, Macy Rennan had to step in on defense because they were kind of behind defensively. They were kind of shorthanded. She had to step in at safety, and it did turn out to be a serious injury, but she did twist her knee on that play.
Okay.
To enough where she pretty much at that point, that was at the end of the first quarter, she wasn't able to re-enter the game until well into the third quarter. So that really, really hurt the Cougars, having their star quarterback out for almost 2 quarters. And it just, they had a couple other players step in, but it just wasn't the same as soon as Rennan went down. That really, really kind of put him behind the 8 ball at that point.
Yeah, I was talking to Chuck. I know you could talk to him face to face, but I was talking to him on Messenger a couple of days ago and asked him how the injury report was. He said right now Maisie's about 4 to 6 weeks. This was Sunday, I think it was, the day after the game. Jess is questionable for the upcoming week. She's getting treatment with both the team doctor and our personal doctor, it looks like. So, so Maisie, he's saying broken collarbone right now. So
that's not good.
So
that one is the one that happened near the end of the game. Yeah. I believe it was almost the next to last drive or the last drive of the game is when that injury happened. And then
just ask them how the team felt, and they put it on them. They put them on the, as he says, a lazy preseason they had. So hopefully they get the work in and get ready for this Saturday's game in Utah. So
yeah, it's going to be in Utah and Salt Lake City, and I know that I talked to Chuck Hoffman before the season, and so the tough thing about the WFA is, remember, these players aren't played, and a lot of the owners have to put out a lot of this money early. So of course, the earlier you can get the airline tickets, the earlier you can get everything set up, the cheaper it is. So that I know of, before week 1, he had 16 players committed to going to Salt Lake City.
Ouch, that's not good.
And so I know that one of those was Macy Rennan. So
that's tough.
You're talking maybe 15 players going to play in that game, and they're going to be really shorthanded.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, like you said, they don't get paid, so they're doing this on their own, and a lot of people can't afford to, miss a day and a half of work. So I get it. I mean, um, so so J-Mac, what was your actually I wanted to bring up, I know there was a tackle. I don't know the lady's name. It was in the middle of the first or towards the end of the first quarter. The Shockwave had the ball. They cut to the right, and out of nowhere, I want to say the linebacker, 64 or 67, just came out of nowhere and just hit her. I
So
mean, that was
64 is Brittany Bianchi. I
okay.
know that.
So
I could tell you that's her
yeah,
number for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Bianchi, but it could have been. I'll have to rewatch. I thought I took the notes down, but I didn't. But yeah, somebody, as they cut back and got to the hole, somebody came out of nowhere from the Cougars and just laid her out. I was just like, wow, that was a decent hit. So, but hopefully the girls rebound. And I want to give you props to Jennifer for doing the camera work. I know you guys had some other cameras hooked up, but weren't really working that well. But first game for you guys, first game for the girls.
Well,
learn.
let me just, for everyone watching that really has never done any production work before, it's tough because you have to have a main camera that is
Yep.
your play-by-play camera and your broadcast camera. So that's the one that we run. You have to have that one, but then you also have to have sideline cameras. I mean, so you have to have people on the sidelines doing cameras there, and they're not only getting the game, they're trying to get views of the sideline, they're trying to get injury reports,
Yep.
all of that. And then you got some game cameras that just get plays, on the end zone, things like that, GoPros and what have you. So
Yeah.
it's not an easy production.
No,
Anyone
it's
that
not.
thinks we just go there and sit down at a table and set up a camera and do all that, I mean, we got there at, I think we were there at 5 minutes after 4, so almost 2 hours before the game started. And as you saw, we were still into the first quarter. We were still scrambling to get everything set up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
and
2
you said
hours
there
before.
was some internet issues going on, and
So
power
power
sources.
issues.
Okay, power
Yeah.
issues. Okay.
So that stadium that they were at, I mean, it was gorgeous. Like the outside of the stadium, it was an
Looked
amazing
nice, yeah.
scenery up
Yeah.
there in Sherwood. And we thank them so much for hosting because they were supposed to play somewhere else, and then 2 days before we get told, oh no, you're going to Sherwood, you're not going to this other place. So they threw this together in 2 days, and they did an excellent job. So we definitely thank Sherwood High School for hosting that and throwing it all together. We couldn't have asked for better hosts. I mean, they were great to us. Hey, what do you need? What can we help you get? And remember, I mean, we're the visiting team. We go in there with our Cougars gear on, and we're not streaming for them. And I wish I would have got her name, but the general manager for the Portland Fighting Shockwave came up to us, in her what was she driving in like her golf cart.
Yeah, I saw a golf cart driving around a little bit around there.
Yeah, putting that up. And she was just super, what do you need? You guys, anything you want. I mean, she got us water, snacks from the anything we needed. She was there. So great hosts. I can't say enough things about that team, that organization. They were a class all the way for sure. 100%.
So are you talking about Rebecca Bison? BRISON?
Yeah.
Just
Definitely.
across,
Yeah. A class organization. We
Good.
can only hope that we can do the same for them when we host them on the 6th of May for the Cougars opener. They'll be against Portland Fighting Shockwave, and we hope that we can reciprocate that. But back to your question about the power issues. So we, again, told 2 days before where we're going. I don't have time to get a Google's Maps of what the stadium's going to look like, what the setup is going to be. I usually research all that stuff so I know where I'm going from. While I go there, they have one skybox, and the PA announcer is in that skybox. There's 2 chairs and a counter.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So I literally would have had to sit right next to the PA guy, which
That
would have
would've been
drowned
tough.
out all of the play-by-play.
Yeah.
So we ended up in the north part of the field. We're literally right behind the goalposts because
Which was
that's where we could set up.
Sweet view. I mean,
And so we had to drag we had to drag electrical cords, and it just, again, not stuff we planned on. So we planned on getting there, setting up quick, and we weren't able to. But again, graceful, very, very, very gracious hosts. They let us drag the power. We couldn't find any other power, so they went inside the closed concession stand, turned all the lights on, the electricity, let us put a cord in there, get us anything we needed. So
Nice.
definitely we're thankful for how
Yeah.
classy that organization was.
And another class thing too, besides that, was just during the injury part, everybody took a knee. No matter where they're at on the field. I know a lot of people try to get close to the player that was injured because there's a few injuries on both sides of the ball. But I just thought it was classy that both teams took a knee. I don't think the pros do that. I don't think college does that. I don't think high school does that. I think it's women definitely take it serious, but then they also know they're all family. They're all part of the same goal into getting women's professional football big. But it was nice to see all of them, just drop to the knee and wait and find out what's going on. So, J-Mac, have you been able to check out any of the other scores from week 1?
I think a couple of them flashed across my Facebook, but I haven't been able to look yet. I do know that the two passing scores in that game on each side were in the top 5 in the league for week 1. So those two as far as longs go.
Nice.
Some great passing in the first week by those two teams. I know Macy. I'm sorry, not Macy. I know that Brittany Pianki is near the top of the league as far as tackles and just assisted plays. I mean, she'll probably be an All-American this year and get to go to Canton, Ohio, which we're hoping to go to this year and be able to follow the team there.
That'd be sweet.
Pretty awesome.
That'd be cool.
But we're psyched for this weekend. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
myself and
yourself
and Sarge.
Yep, Sarge is going, so that should
you'll
be good.
You'll get a different take because he's actually going to be up in the booth with me. So you're going to have myself doing the main, and then you'll actually get a color analyst this week. So we'll have Tim Fiedler there, Sarge, to splash some color onto the broadcast. So should be interesting. It's something we're trying out. We didn't have that in any of the other games, and we'll see if that works, and we'll go from there. But I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be an awesome.
So just looking at through the week 1 scores, I count 6 shutouts, which weren't one game was 6-0, but the other games weren't even close. And speaking of Utah's team, they were shut out 47-0, I believe it was. So, they're gonna look to be fired up, but hopefully Oregon can get it going. So, and then most of you guys know I live in Minnesota. The Vixens took a defeat 20-0. So against St. Louis Swam, it looks like. But it's early. The girls don't play many games, so each game definitely matters. So
and if you think about it this way, going into week 1 of the Division III, which is where the Cougars play, they were ranked, I believe, 6th in the nation as far as Division III goes. And so they were playing against Portland Fighting Shockwave, that are a Division II team, and are ranked in the top 15 in Division II. So the fact that they did not get shut out against the top 15 Division II team shorthanded first game of the year, like, kudos to that. I mean, they went out there and played hard and had a hard-fought game till the end.
And that game, I mean, from my perspective, watching on the replay, that game could have went either way early in the game. First quarter, second quarter, and maybe halfway through the third quarter, each team was there. And then few mistakes, few penalties, like you said, J-Mac, just bit the Cougars in the butt, and Shockwave took advantage of them. So,
I mean, if I'm not wrong, I mean, it was 20-8 all the way until 6 minutes left in the game, and then
Yeah.
who was it that took over at quarterback?
Well,
Liz
was it
May.
you're saying 13-6, was or 13-8, wasn't
Well,
it?
the 13-6 for a long time. Then it was 20-6 when Portland scored, and then it was 20-8. Excuse me, you're right. It was 20-8.
I thought it was 13-8, and then they got the
Yeah,
last two scores.
let me go back. I think it was 13-8.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was 13, but it was
Yeah.
close to the end, and
Yep.
then I know the Shockwave scored, and then the Cougars had the ball back, driving down, a chance to come back, and then
Then they
you know,
started pick six,
and
I think
then
it was.
Two.
and then
Yeah.
Meza threw the pick six there at the end of the game,
Yeah.
and then it was 26-8, and that kind of sealed the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But it is what it is. Week 1 in the books, rebound for week 2. Cougars, hopefully can find a couple people to jump ship there and get on the plane and head over there. Hopefully things work out. But so what are we looking for, J-Mac, in week 2? I know we're down the starting quarterback. You've already said the roster's looking at about 15. So what do you think the Cougars are looking at this week?
well, I do think. I mean, you're going to have some of your bigger players there, your bigger names, and so it should be a hard fought game, like you said. The Warriors from Salt Lake City, I believe it's what Wastash is how they're Wastash Warriors from Salt Lake City. They lost 47-0 in week 1.
47-0.
Yes.
Yep.
So right now the Cougars are just kind of, it's going to be a good game. It really is. From the little bit of film I saw from the Warriors, they have a similar game to the Cougars. They run the ball a lot and play defense. So it's going to be, and that you can't get down big like that.
Yeah.
I know that's a focus for this week for the Cougars, as it will be for the Warriors. You get down big in a game when you're a running team and playing defense, you really don't have a chance to come back when you don't have a passing threat. So, and you're down your top quarterback if you're the Cougars. So it's
has Chuck said who possibly could be under center? I know his options are probably limited with the
let me say that there are things that we talk about that we can't broadcast.
All right. I got
That's
that.
kind of secrets of the trade there.
Yep.
But we will meet and talk more about that Friday night before the game on Saturday. We will we're all staying, of course, at the same hotel. So once we land there in Salt Lake City and get to the hotel, I'm sure we'll have a big a media session and talk to everybody and see how everyone's feeling and go from there. There's just he has an idea. He shared some ideas, but that's not something we can really talk about on the air. So
Right.
Nope, just like the regular NFL, you ask those questions and everything's top secret, which it should be. But again, you always ask them. You know what the answer is going to be. So, with that being said, guys, J-Mac, unless you got something more to cover or that we missed, final thoughts. So, J-Mac, why don't you lead us off with final thoughts?
Final thoughts. We are, in anyone that's interested, please reach out. We still have some spots available as far as someone coming holding a camera and helping out with the GoPros and doing some stuff during the games. And so please reach out to the network. We'd be happy to let you come in and be part of the Cougar family and part of the Coast to Coast family. And so we're always looking for help. Don't be afraid to reach out. You never know. You could be the next big thing in women's football. Yep.
Chris, how about you? What do you got? Your final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. Oregon Cougars next game is Saturday. Tune in for that. This week's the draft, and we'll have morning tailgate on this weekend, recapping it.
Yep. And also tomorrow, Chris's annual show, C2C Draft Round 1, I guess
Yeah.
we'll call it. I don't know if we
Sure.
have an official
I
name,
know.
but
No.
J-Mac, I hope you have safe travels. You and Sarge and the girls and the team all have safe travels to Seattle and back. Can't wait to see the game on Saturday. Can't wait to recap the draft on Morning Tailgate. And with that being said, we'll see y'all next week on Sports Minute and then Cougars Den. So